When's the best time to sell your house in the Shoals area? Let's see what the data says over the past 5 years. Over the past 5 years in the Shoals area, we've seen a lot of highs and lows with the real estate market. And I went to the trouble of putting together a little bit of an Excel spreadsheet that kind of shows you when the best time to sell a house in the Shoals is. So let's just dive right into it. Looking at the spreadsheet, and I'm going to put this up where you can kind of look at it from your screen. This shows us units sold 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. We're only into 2023 by 1 month, so I only have 1 month of data there. But it shows it broken down by month as well. So you see January through December on the left-hand column there. So when we're looking at it, let's just talk a little bit about when the high times and low times are to sell your house here in the Shoals area. This is only data for Colbert and Lauderdale County, but it still gives you a good idea of what the patterns are in our area when getting ready to sell a house. So if we just look at 2017, let's look there first, because I want to talk about the trends that we've seen over the last couple of years. But let's go back to 2017 so we know it's pre-COVID, it's old data, and we can kind of see if we see any patterns there. So January, we have 138 sales, February 122, 144 in March. We see springtime we pick up, so 135, then 174, 150, 146, 146, 135, and it starts to tick back off in October. So we see a normal pattern like we talk about all the time, where the hot time to sell your house is spring and summer, and generally at the end of that, things slow down. As you look across all these numbers, you'll notice that the lowest time to sell a house anytime in the Shoals is going to be December. And that's typical across the country because we're dealing with the holidays at that time. We're not really concerned about moving. We don't want to try to move and have our Christmas tree, and will Santa Claus know where to come if we move right before Christmas? So we have all those things that we're kind of dealing with. So December is a slow time. But let's kind of look now as we go forward. Let's just look at what the trend has been, say, the last couple of years. So we have seen 2020 COVID year. Let's look at that right there. COVID kind of slowed us down a little bit, and then that started what I always told people is the phone started ringing the Memorial Day after COVID. I started getting phone calls left and right, and it did not slow down until probably Memorial Day last year. It was like a 2-year period where really we had it made, right? It was hand over fist. If you had a listing, it was gone in minutes. People were fighting each other to get in the door. And now we've seen a little bit of a slowdown. So let's just look at the data on that. So we're still looking at that same pattern, right? January picks back up usually, but December is still the low month. So if we look at 2020, you can see in the springtime there, say look at 19, you had 185, right? And then in 2020, you had 153. This is April. All right. So we're looking at April, 185, 153, 188 in 2019, then 167 in May, 170, but then 183 in June. We had more sales, right? So those sales start ticking back up. And then we see 155 in 2019, 222 in 2020 in June. And the numbers stay above the year before. Then in 2021, it got even wilder, right? We know that every month in 2021 was up, with the exception of maybe 1 month in here that I saw. It looks like the month of July, we had 203 sales, and the year before we had 209. That was just kind of an anomaly because every other month was elevated. But then we see something peculiar happen after Memorial Day 2022. The rates start ticking up. Everything starts kind of going the other way. So then we have, starting in June, a dramatic fall off, 163 houses when we sold a year before that, 232. In July, 147 houses when the year before that we sold 203. 164 in August when the year before that we sold 209. And then things start getting really bleak. At the end of last year, the market really started slowing down. And that's because we saw these rates climb up into the 5.5, 6 range, and now they're climbing on up mid-6s. And so things have really slowed down in the real estate market, which means a couple of things, right? For buyers, you're going to pay a higher interest rate, but maybe you get a little bit cheaper price on your house. For people that have to sell, they're going to have to reduce to make it happen. But let's look at the last 3 months. November of last year, November of 2022, we sold 64 units in Colbert and Lauderdale County. A year before that, we sold 165. So that means we've dropped off 101 units in 1 year. All right, the market changed that much from the course of 21 to 22. In December of last year, in December of 2021 rather, we sold 119 units. And this December we sold 22. So also a mark backwards of about 100 houses that sat on the market. People are staying in their homes. They're like, hey, you know what? I got this low interest rate that I got in the middle of all the great market. I'm going to sit tight. I'm not going to sell. Only the people that are having to sell are really selling right now. Then let's look at January. This was what really got my attention. January typically is a month where it picks back up a little bit because now we've had all the deals that are kind of backlogged from the holidays and people that had off for the holidays for closing offices, escrow offices, title companies, lenders. All those people kind of just like put things to the side like everybody else. Okay, we'll get that after the first of the year. So now the holidays are over. Typically we see a little uptick in closed deals because we have the backlog from the December, right? So in 2022, we closed 149 deals in our MLS in Colbert and Lauderdale County. This past January, which ended yesterday, we closed 11. So that's a difference of 138 deals that didn't materialize this year. So if you look at that on average, it's really bleak as far as what the real estate market is doing. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, if you're getting ready to sell your house and if you're in a position where you have to sell, right? You're looking to move, you want to sell your house, then the market is ready for you to be out there, right? But you're going to have to price the right way. If you're looking to buy a house, then there's plenty of inventory now. You don't have to fight people anymore like you did back last year or the year before where you're like, man, I can't even get my foot in the door before the house is gone. You'll have time to look around. You'll have time to be a little picky. You'll have time to do your due diligence and not have to waive inspections, and you'll have plenty of inventory to choose from. But now if you're a seller, what does that mean for you? Well, you're going to have to be participating in the price war and the beauty contest, right? Those two things are going on right now. You got to have the best property for the best price. That's what it's going to take to sell right now. So I broke this data down in a couple of different ways, and I'll post that on here for you so you can see it. But generally speaking, if we look at, I made a pie chart here that shows you when are the best times to sell, period, all across the board. Over the last 5 years of data, here's what it shows us. December is the worst at 4.9% of housing transactions that have taken place in Colbert and Lauderdale County in the last 5 years happen in December. Just the worst, right? The lowest. Up from that, the next one is November. 6.3% of all transactions happen there. So in 5 years, what that represents is 702 houses sold in November in the last 5 years. So that's 2017 to 2022. You look at that versus December, which was 504 houses, right? So let's contrast that with the highest month to sell your home, and that's actually going to be April. Out of all the months, over 5 years of data, April is the highest month, and we've sold 1,083 houses in April since 2017 in Colbert and Lauderdale County. That's 9.7% of the total market share that's changed hands in the last 5 years has done so in April. Close second to that is May there's only two houses different. It's 9.6% at 1,081 houses. And then behind that is June at 1057 at 9.4%, July, August. Then it starts to tick off in September, because people are going back to school, right? People generally, here's what I think when I look at the data. April, May, June, people are looking hard. Hey, we got to move. The kids are out of school. Let's get it done. While the kids are out of school, we'll get everything moved and we'll be ready to go, and it won't interfere with anything that we're doing there if they're changing schools or if they're not changing schools, just the whole stress of getting moved, right? But then in July, people look at it and go on vacation. They just kind of give up on it, or they're not working it, or they're, the 4th of July is in there, so there's a holiday. it kind of backs off a little bit. And August is like the last minute people like, oh, we got to get moved. School's starting, yeah, but let's get moved before it gets into the thick of it, right? And then we see that normal backing off. September, October, 8.1% of houses sold in the last 5 years were sold in October and September, right? So September, 899 houses over 5 years. October, 905 houses over 5 years. So very close. So the months that are, as a matter of fact, looking at this, February is a little bit higher than September and October, actually. So if you're looking at it as like, okay, when's the time to sell? When's the time to avoid? What do we need to be doing if we really have to sell or we want to sell? Look at it right now. We're in February, right? 8.4% of houses that have sold in the Shoals area in the last 5 years have sold in February. Your chances of selling your home are going up incrementally in the next March, April, May, June, the next 4 months. So if you're wanting to sell your house and get it moved quickly and have the best chance with this buyer's market that we're in right now, then you need to prepare your home over the next month and have that thing ready to go on the market in March, because that's when you're going to have your best shot at selling. We want to be certainly on the market by April, because April is the highest month for sold homes. Now, one thing to say about this, a little bit of this is going to track backwards some, right? Because of the time that it takes to get, it takes 30 days basically to get a house from pending to closed out and sold. So you can kind of flip this data back just a hair if you're kind of looking at it, but it gives you a good idea of things that are closing. And then you can kind of backtrack things there as we go into the heavy months of the year. So from now, if you're thinking about selling, now is the time to get ready. All right. Prepare your house. If you got to do some cleanup, some decluttering, some painting, repairs that hey, I've been waiting to do these. You don't want to fix your house up to sell it, but that may be what you have to do. If you know you got some things to do, get those done now so you can be ready to go on the market March, April, May, June. Make that transaction smooth for you. Also, I'm going to put this, I've got a bar graph here that actually shows the months as they each year as it compares. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then there's 23, a little bitty nub there with 11 sales. And then I put the 5-year averages on there as well, so you can see the arch. So the arch looks like this. It starts in January and climbs up starting in March, April, May, June, dip in July, back up in August, dip in September, October, down November, December, right? That's what it does. And you can see that plainly here on the graphic. I also made one that was kind of showing you the space of the markets, and you can see where we were in the wild, wild west there in 2021, how we were just selling anything that went on the market would get sold quickly. And then you can see how the market in 2022, in the middle of the year, in about June, started to dip below the year before, and then really fizzle on out to where now it's not even comparable in January because of the slowing of the market. So if you're a buyer, good time to buy, right? Because there's lots of inventory out there. If you're thinking about selling, let me help you. Let's get your house on the market at the right time. Let's do the prep work we need. I've got people that can help you in all aspects of getting your house ready and making it, win the beauty contest, right? And then we'll talk about the pricing and get you on the right track so you can sell your home for top dollar. But at this point, just being able to get the house sold is going to be really the priority, right? So I hope that helps you some. I hope that gives you some data to look at as far as everything that's happened in the Shoals area. Colbert and Lauderdale County. Let me just clarify that. The Colbert and Lauderdale County statistics for the last 5 years. I'll put this spreadsheet in the description below, and I'll also try to incorporate that some into this video as we go back and make sure that you can see those things. If I can help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My number is 256-412-1412. I'm a real estate agent with Knight and Humphreys Real Estate. I'm a licensed Alabama home builder, and I can help you find your dream home in this area and put you right on the market when you need to get top dollar for your home. So reach out to me if I can help you. If you have any questions, give me a call. Thanks so much for watching this video. See ya.